People won't stand a chance. We all know that God's in control. All the people of the world are joining hand in hand. Cause all of the tyranny brought us back together again. So united we stand.
Trying to divide us brought us closer together. People that normally never, just trying to make the world better. Doctors, ball players, scientists, actors, rabbis, preachers, deacons, pastors, singers and rappers, overcoming all their differences. The freedom to live your life regardless what your religion is. Masked up the children, shut down your businesses. Socially distancing didn't stop any sickness. Start listening to each other. Witness what you discover. We all sisters and brothers. You do not get another life to live, so embrace it, don't waste it. Every single struggle that they try to throw at us, we overcame it. Freedom, we had to take it. Matrix, we had to break it. Not the great reset, no, this is the great awakening. Holding on to your sanity, won't divide up the family. Muslim, Jew, Christianity, let's get back to humanity.
United we stand, but divided we fall. Evil won't stand a chance. We all know that God's in control. All the people of the world are joining hand in hand. Cause all of the tyranny brought us back together again. So united we stand.
They shut down the schools, churches, and temples too. Even if we disagree, every day I'm defending you. Yeah, it's someone else's problem until it's affecting you. All the trillions they send to other countries instead of you. Never bend my knee to man, God is who I'm kneeling to. All the evil in the world, they trying to deceive the youth. They'll never know what it's like just to be me and you. It feel good waking up every morning and being true. Help each other stay afloat, don't let no one lose hope. I don't care your political party or how you vote. I want everyone to be happy with a life full of health. I hope you make enough to find generational wealth. You just gotta keep walking if you going through hell. And it doesn't make you weak if you asking for help. Don't let them tear us apart over nothing again. So let's all join hands, cause united we stand.
United we stand, but divided we fall. Evil won't stand a chance. We all know that God's in control. All the people of the world joining hand in hand. Cause all of the tyranny brought us back together again. United.
It starts with you and I, to keep the love alive. You gotta change with your sense of dignity. No hate, we gotta act differently.
Hey, okay, we are live.
Okay, excellent.
Guys, let us know if you can hear us just in the chat. I'm not sure if that's going to carry through from Twitter or not. You can keep an eye on that or on Rumble. But if you are viewing from YouTube, Twitter, let us know if you can see us in the chat or hear us in the chat at least. I know last time we were having some microphone difficulties, so hopefully this is all taken care of. Yep.
Absolutely.
Looks good.
Welcome to episode 3 of Planting Seeds.
Yeah. So here we are. So I think what we're going to do is actually just kind of explain what we meant by the title, which is Think for Yourself, as long as it's just like me. Spire?
Yeah, so we've been noticing, obviously, the last episode we kind of went into some of the divides that are happening out there and how, we all banded together during COVID and, vax, anti-vax, and then since then we've been noticing things have been falling apart. And it seems like there's been an overwhelming amount of people that are subject matter experts on everything these days. And I think it's important to have certain things that resonate with you, and I think that's important. But what I'm noticing is a lot of people are criticizing others, and they've kind of been attacking from different angles. And everything, we've all have certain things that stick out as really, really important to us, and that seems to be exploited right now. And we're basically trying to maybe plant some seeds on some ways to get around those differences so we can all work together again.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, that being said, we promised you guys a challenge every episode. So we're going to do one a little bit right now, and then we'll kind of get into explaining what we mean by the challenge. You can bring that up. Yeah.
So this here represents a Canadian patriot. So it also could represent spherical globe, Earth, and one of these over here represents flat Earth. So we've actually, what we're going to do is, this game's called Boom Boom Balloon. It's just going to represent our impression of how the world's working right now. So each of these sticks are going to represent a common issue that actually faces a bunch of us. I'm going to make sure the flat end goes to the back there,
Is that how it
when
goes?
you're putting it up. Yep. And so what happens is we'll roll the dice. We're going to basically talk about what the different issues are, and then we'll play the game. And whoever is the one to explode the balloon or the spherical Earth is the loser, and the other person's there. So we're going to roll the dice, and we'll see how it goes.
All right.
So the first one here actually is a little out of order, but this one is going to represent flat Earth versus round Earth. So this is a discussion that's out there. People talk. It's a contentious issue for many, so we're going to put that in. So here's flat Earth, round Earth.
Okay, I don't like this.
Yeah, I know. it's a little terrifying.
Alright, so I'm supposed to roll
No,
this?
no. So
Okay.
we got to put all these in first. I'm just going to represent what they are. So this one is, actually you can put one in, PPC versus CPC.
There we go.
Okay, or,
Alright.
other way.
Other way? This
Yeah,
way?
there you go, yeah.
Alright.
He's in so much trouble. I've played this game before. Okay, so this one's going to represent race issues. Okay, white versus black, Asian. We're going to get into some religion stuff, but this represents the race card.
Alright.
Okay, so the next one will say LGBTQ community versus straight community.
There?
Yeah, sure, wherever. Okay, this one here is going to be religion. Okay, so this could be your three holy religions. This could be outside of that. Revelations, millennial reign versus tribulation, all that sort of stuff. Most of this stuff we're going to talk about in different episodes. Today is going to be working around it. But this one here, it represents religion. All these are putting a little bit of extra
What's this
pressure on the Patriot. Okay, so that one there, let's say vax versus no vax.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
That's going to be one that's a little easier for
Am I
most
putting
of us.
this in right?
I don't know, is it the flat part at the back? Yep.
There
Okay,
we go.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so wars. This is Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine. That's people have been talking about that quite a bit. Let's throw this sucker over here. Right on. Okay. So you got crypto, gold, and fiat currencies. Okay, these are
Alright.
stuff everyone's a subject matter expert in.
Just anywhere?
Sure.
Alright.
Okay, and this last one that I've got here, which will represent issue number 9, will be how old buildings exist. Okay, civilizations rose and fell, pyramids, old buildings, castles, mud floods, etc. Okay, so that's the way a lot of people are gauging
Versus-
stuff. What's that?
Versus what we're taught in school?
But versus what the narrative which we're taught in school, right?
Alright, cool.
Everything is just there, new technology versus there was never old technology. So this talks about all that. Okay, so we're just putting those things in. And roll the dice. We'll say highest number plays first.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm rolling, and it's going to fall right off the
That
table.
was brilliant.
Son of a...
Okay, we're just gonna
Okay.
say you were 2. This one didn't work out so well, so.
It was number 2. Oh, God.
Alright.
Bumbling idiots. Okay, so I got a 2. Aaron, you're up.
I got a
3. Okay, so Aaron's playing first.
Alright.
Perfect. Okay, so roll the dice.
Wasn't it? Okay. Again?
Yeah,
3.
and you got a 3. So you got to move each of these sticks. You can either move 1 stick 3 times, or you can move 3 sticks 1 time,
Alright.
or you can move 1 stick twice.
I got
And
you.
then, yeah, okay, you got her. 1, 2, 3. Excellent start. All right,
Alright.
here we go. I as well got 3. Here's one for flat earthers. Okay,
There's
here we go.
100 people watching us
Play Boom
explode
Boom
a balloon.
Balloon. Okay, thank you, Patriots. Okay, this will all be worth it.
Alright.
Okay, especially when the sucker goes, right?
Alright. And I got 2.
Okay, we're doing this stuff for your viewing pleasure. Challenges every week. Okay. All right. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. I got a 3 again.
Right.
1, 2, 3. Aaron, you're up.
Alright. And 1. Sweet.
Okay, so the whole point of this is watching. This is your brain on all the problems of the world. Okay? We want to try to isolate that.
Whoa. Sorry about
That's Aaron's doing something. I got a 2 here. Ready? 1, 2. This balloon's getting a little misshaped.
Alright.
Give her.
This is... Oh.
Right in the junk.
Right in the junk.
2.
Okay.
Excellent. Well done. It's getting a little suspect. 3. For the love of God. Okay. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay. And 2.
Oh, I forgot our music. Crap. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Let's crank this sucker. It's a little late because this red balloon's not going to be around too long.
Oh, hey, there we go.
I'm the wiener.
You're the winner. So the whole point of this.
Oh God.
Are you the winner?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm covered in stuff.
Right.
Whatever.
So the whole point of this really was, it's all pressure coming in on all sides, and I think actually the music that we were playing right in the beginning was intentional as well. I'm not sure if you heard it or not as you were tuning in, but if you roll back through the credits, who's the artist?
It's Jimmy Levy and High Res.
Yeah, and what the whole point of that music was it's United We Stand, Divided We Fall. I know we talked about that a little bit the last episode, but coming into this episode as well, we're looking at all the different things that are kind of meant to really, really divide us. We wanted to walk through those a little bit today, and kind of the solutions that we have as well. Just because as great friends as we are and all, there's some stuff that we don't necessarily always see eye to eye on, or we discuss, we get over it, and then we kind of move on from there.
What I'm hearing is the volume's down, so I'm trying to adjust my mic here. I don't know if that's going to make it too overwhelming or not.
I'm wondering if the volume ended up reverting back to there again, so I'm going to just double check my settings if you want to go ahead and speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just kind of carrying on here a little bit. So what this all started with is after we did our last episode talking about some of the divides out there and how it's hurting us, I started to figure out, within the Patriot community, what are some of the topics that I see as being the main contested issue, and how do we work past that with people? And that's within the Patriot movement. There's confetti everywhere here. Well done, Aaron. There was within the truther community, I've seen a lot of stuff. The big one that's actually that seems to be the most prevalent and that everyone seems happy to argue about is their political parties within Ontario and what that looks like. So and let's just the elephant in the room constantly is PPC versus the CPC.
Oh, we got the mics, yeah.
Are the mics, are they going now?
No, I'm just trying to get it. Hey guys, thanks for the tips. I'm gonna try and figure this out.
Okay,
Keep going.
So anyways, so the CPC, PPC, obviously a lot of us identify as right or conservative. Not everyone that will be watching this will be, but a lot of us are. And because of that, we always thought that we had to vote for a Pacific PPCLI. No, we're not talking about Dirty Patricias in this one. A comment just came in from Wildcard Adventures there. So so within the PPC and CPC, there's lots of argument back and forth. Everyone seems to figure that from a Conservative Party of Canada that if you vote for PPC, that means you're splitting the vote. My take would be is that wouldn't a vote for the Conservative Party not be splitting the vote for someone that supports the PPC? We have to find ways to work together. Those parties don't necessarily have to, and I'm not suggesting it's a uniparty, but to me it's really important that we take the time to find commonalities versus finding differences, and people seem to be attacking each other constantly on this. What's that?
Yep, I got it. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay.
So, all right, guys, how's that? Is that better for the mics?
So, and a lot of this actually started, I started into that, and then we've got some tech issues here, but I really wanted to do this episode to talk about how within the Patriot community we could do better, because something happened about 2 weeks ago, and it'll be a totally different episode, but I had a friend of mine, an old friend of mine that I've not spoken to in a long time, and he came by my house He was at the Freedom Convoy as well as me. We were good close friends. We both served together, so we served, and different times. He's a police officer now. So I was in Ottawa as a patriot, and he was there as a police officer. And it took a long time, a lot of years, but we found ways to still get together and still do stuff. And that sounds probably ridiculous for some, and some people might want to crucify me for even saying that. However, it's up to us to do better. At the end of this mess, we're going to have to rebuild, and so we start today. So today for me is about trying to find ways in which we can work on these differences and talk about it. If we can't do it within our own truth or community, within our own freedom community, then how are we going to do this? It's not overly loud volume up on
The
laptop speakers. It's still muddled.
Let's try that. Is that better, guys?
So
let me know.
Anyways,
sorry about this. We're trying to figure out the speakers, but at least they're not cutting out this time. So.
Yeah, we're just hearing volume seems to be a little bit low. So I don't know. Maybe you can turn your volume up on that mic there too.
I just turned it up on here. So
cool.
Better.
So guys, every week we're going to get better at this. We appreciate everyone's feedback and everything. So anything to add on the CPC, PPC? Like, guys, we're going to do episodes on a lot of these issues. Today is more of an overview, but basically just showing you can make yourself absolutely crazy focusing on every one of these. And I find as much as I'm jacking people up online right now for having very, very hard views on stuff, I also catch myself more than not, I'm like, hey, sorry about that, man. Someone jumps into a conversation and they're really hardcore one way, and I want to go and I want to start throwing stones at them too. And and then I realize I'm just pushing other patriots away from me.
Yeah, no, and I get it. Like when it comes down to like the political issues as well, because people are really strong when it comes down. Like when it all comes down to it, they'll have one thing that I noticed. Actually, this is interesting because I've been talking a lot about what's going on.
Oh, it sounds like sounds improved. So
right, awesome.
We're good to go.
And if it's breaking up at all as well, because we were having a lot of issues with it, like every 6 seconds last time. I think we figured it out. So. Like Spire said, we're still just learning this stuff.
Oh, Rob K73, thanks a lot. It says much louder. So, anyways,
all right, awesome. So I noticed this even just I'd made a comment about there's so many different bills that are like they're trying to ran through. That it ultimately gets kind of confusing to keep them all straight. That's like Bill 63 to I think there's another one S240. I can't remember what it's called. It's a financial bill. And unless you're highly educated in one particular subject, it's easy to have an opinion on it. But when you're passionate about it and you actually have educated yourself quite a bit on that one subject, I find it's really easy to get frustrated with people that aren't as interested in it as you. So when it comes down to people that aren't as politically aware of the different parties, like CPC versus PPC, you've been in it for 4 years, man, or 5 years, or 10 years, or 20 years. Ultimately, I think it just comes down to if you're going to try and figure out who's going to be the right candidate for you, ask those candidates the questions, like the really relevant questions that are going to come up, the ones that are actually relevant to you. And if that's what sticks by you, dude, I don't care who you vote for. To be honest with you. That's your own decision because that's what's going to stay closest to home.
Yeah. I keep that's what I throw out all the time, like especially on Twitter. I'm like, guys, listen. I mean, you're not going to convince somebody else if they don't see it for themselves. I mean, we you can point people in the right direction, but there's nothing worse than someone going, it's like, oh, hey, if you had to vote today, who would you vote for? And it's like, well, I'll vote for who I choose to, and that's who you should do as well.
Yeah.
And if you're not okay with that, then what makes us any different than some of this left stuff that we hate? Things being jammed down our throats. Some people are trying to do the exact same thing, and probably unknowingly, right? Someone's like, here, okay, well, I'm going to support Pierre. Well, that's great. You know what I mean? But someone might not be able to do that. I struggle now, truthfully, full disclosure, I struggle with the Conservative Party of Canada right now because when I chose not to be vaccinated. So, I didn't feel like I got the support from that. And so I got behind PPC. There's things I have with that party that I don't love either, right? But everyone has to do what works for them. Yeah. And that's the point.
So, we're just kind of going to jump from one subject to the next today. So I think we kind of nailed that horse to the ground.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's the other thing I just wanted to say. We're going to
see metaphors here. So
very good. Well done.
Thanks.
Trying to we want to make sure that the podcast starts to come across as more fluid. I find Aaron and I, our best discussions are when we're just talking and stuff, and we're going less off script. So that's we're going to work on that today. And before we move into the next topic, just so I don't forget, I just want to throw a big thank you out to CCFR and Tracy Wilson for hospitality this last weekend at the outdoor show. And I also want to let people know about Veterans to Hunters. Okay, so through Highland Guide Services, Aaron and I both got to participate in a hunting thing for veterans last fall, and we went to the outdoor show to help them out this weekend. And what a great bunch of people. So we will be posting links about that. If you're a veteran out there or you want to support veterans that are disabled to be able to get out and do things that they enjoy or to learn some new skills that utilize old skills, then Veterans to Hunters there. They actually have a competition right now. It's called the Southern Ontario Duck Slam that'll start this fall, and that helps to raise some money for veterans to do hunting programs.
Totally. So. And actually, that's part of the reason we just wanted to give them a shout out was we went down there. I hadn't been out with them before. I don't think you'd been. No, you hadn't been out with them before either.
Nope. This was the first gig. Yep.
And they literally they brought us down. We had no idea what to expect. We went down there for the weekend or for the week. They put us up in their own home. Took us out hunting, fed us. Just totally amazing people. And any of the money's raised, really, it just goes towards having these different weeks to get veterans out, get them into nature, into the wild, and hopefully just kind of give back a little bit to the veteran community. So they're pretty amazing people.
Yeah. So we just wanted to go into that just for a bit. It was an amazing opportunity, especially Aaron and I got to go together.
Yeah.
So it was really a lot of fun. So next, number 2, race issues.
Oh, where do we start?
I don't know. People are so sick of hearing about it, aren't they?
Well, I think it depends on the race issue, really. Like there's a black versus white. There's the Asian. There's the Middle Eastern. Like right now, it's there's the Jewish versus the Middle Eastern. Like, and that comes down to the wars. There's so much different stuff, and we're being tugged in so many different directions. Now, I've talked to you about this before, and I mentioned it to a couple other people. I worked around. I married a South African. Yes, she's white, but we're pretty. Her and I worked around the world, as did you, for years. At one point, we were working with 72 different. Like we were working with people from 72 different countries, cultures, all colors, persuasions, cultures. So we kind of got a really broad view of learning how to, I guess, accept different things. But at the same time, we're seeing different stuff coming across in schools. Like my son the other day went through DEI training in grade 7.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. We could unpack a whole lot here. We're going to try to keep it within our hour.
And there's a whole pile of white guilt in there too. So a lot of people are getting angry because fingers are kind of constantly being pointed at them. And considering that most of Canada is still of like the white persuasion, then you're kind of feeling like fingers are being pointed at you more and more and more and more and more, and that's kind of all we keep seeing coming out. So I can understand where the frustration's coming in, but at the same time, I think that's one thing that's just being aimed at us to make us fight with each other. Because you were at you were down at the convoy. Mm-hmm. We've been to a number of things, and most of Canada's white, so you're going to see a lot of white people. But did you see a lot of people from other colors?
Yeah, I didn't honestly. When I was down there, there was no specific color, no specific religion. It was Canadians.
You're seeing Sikh. You're seeing it doesn't really matter. They're just all Canadians coming together. So whether we might have like the government or the school systems and that kind of stuff telling us this stuff to make you feel bad and try and teach your kids to feel bad, but ultimately, I think Canadians, for the most part, they want to get along. Like they're not really now. That's the immigration issue plays into that right now as well. Mm-hmm. So you can see a lot of people getting upset there. I'm one of them.
Yeah, and there's of course these new bills that work around too. You know what I mean? Basically working around hate speech and everything like that. So there's a lot of.
So how do we fight past that?
Well, I think first and foremost, don't be an asshole. I think that's, at the end of the day, I think we need to be open-minded to looking at everyone's issues and having a little bit of compassion and empathy towards everybody. But yeah, the big thing is that we can get so caught up in a little topic or a little issue that's presented to us, and for the most part, I find that generally people. Race issues aren't generally all that prevalent, but as soon as you turn the television off.
Yeah.
As soon as you turn the media off, the television, mainstream, social media, race issues seem to go away pretty quick. I certainly noticed that. My family's quite mixed.
Yeah. So there's that too. Actually, somebody just asked if we're live on Rumble, John. We are, but we're on the Vets for Freedom TV. So we're live on their channel right now. I will be uploading it to our Rumble channel too. Again, sorry, we're still new at this, so we're still kind of trying to figure everything out.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of comments are coming in about the last topic. That's okay. Like Aaron said, we're going to try to go back and forth a little bit. Pierre's not getting a lot of love here, what I'm seeing. And you know what? The big thing was, I'm just going to basically put it out there. So I was a big Pierre fan before I actually started doing a ton of research. And I'm not going to put anyone down, and I'm not trying to convince people on who to vote. What I will say is things change, and as you start to see stuff. So, someone actually pointed out here too that, a party leader is just the party leader. There's actually an entire party behind them, right? So we attack the figurehead sometime, but, it's important to look deep and to do your own research. And
and even understanding that, like, it's funny, like, I attack Trudeau because I think he's a moron, and he's gross, and a whole pile of other things that just kind of all mix into that.
He's got lovely hair.
If you're into that. But at the end of the day, like, we talked about puppets on strings. You and I have had those conversations before as well. But even looking at the parties, like, my problem with the party system, like, we can't kind of we always come back to politics. But my problem with the party system is they've got a party whip. So no matter what, you can vote for whoever you want in your constituency. But they're always going to follow the party line, and if they don't, then they're going to be tossed to the party. And that's liberal, conservative, NDP. It's like pretty much across board, except for PPC. So that's kind of one thing where I'm good with PPC, is they haven't introduced a party whip, but ultimately they have to have seats to even have a party whip. So,
or actually try to put someone in Ontario or Quebec, right?
So there's that too. Now, over and above that, with the what a lot of people don't understand is, like, with the political parties, they also have a board, and their board of directors typically is the one that's kind of pulling the strings on whoever is their head of party. So there's some of that stuff that comes into it too. But I wanted to get back into rather than going like down that deep dive rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have separate episodes for a lot of these things. So we knew we were gonna unpack a lot, so we're being cognizant of that. And yeah. Anyways, which one did you want to get back to, brother?
Let's go on to, we were kind of bringing up we talked about the race issues, but that kind of ties in, shockingly enough, with the LGBT. One of the things I was going to mention, some of you might have been following what I'm doing with my son right now on Twitter, if you're following me on Twitter. And I've been addressing things with his principal, with his teacher. I'm now up to the school board and talking to the trustee. But what I found interesting last year was we were talking about the race, and this is actually where race really became an issue for me, was when they were doing sex ed studies. Apparently, this is actually part of their sex ed studies, and it's how how dating, I guess, relates to racism, and they had to bring that up with a bunch of grade sixes. But also, what they threw in there was the LGBTQIA, how they're hard done by, and they've been beaten down, and more respect needs to be paid. And this is one of the things that I found highly divisive. Especially it seems that it's automatically assumed that if you're not on the left, if you are on the right, then you just automatically hate gay people.
Yeah, it's kind of got crazy, where certain things are just thrown around. We all feel it, we all see it. I'm not saying anything that people are not aware of. If you don't toe a certain line, you're automatically you're a homophobe, you're a bigot, you're a xenophobe, you're racist. I mean, we just goes on and on. It's getting old, and I've just stopped kind of trying to cater to it. I've just basically stopped. Then as Aaron was saying, the stuff with the school, like it's a ton. And we got into it the other day in a friendly way, but basically trying to talk about, because Aaron was really on the part where he was in, believing he was defending his son and the situation that was happening there now, and trying to protect him from any sort of grooming type situations. And I actually just took the side a little bit of some of the teachers who don't know any better and are not given stuff. And I don't agree. Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that we in talking it out, we both agree that what happened at the school was wrong in that particular situation. However, that being said, for me, knowing this is a situation that some of the teachers are in, I think that they should do a lot more research themselves. But just like everyone else in a job, sometimes they just carry on, and they're kind of towing the line, just doing their job, as it were, right? And that becomes a real sore point for a lot of people.
Well, that becomes a sore point for me, because ultimately, if we're entrusting our children, which is the future of our country, of our families and everything else, if we're entrusting them to another person to not raise but to teach, then I'm expecting them, hopefully, to, if they're not going to teach values, which I don't expect them to, because every family has different values, what I do expect is for them to just be teaching subject. My son's teacher had made a promise to me, and I take anybody's word very, very seriously. So if I'll usually take it at face value. So if you give me your word, I expect you to keep it. If you break it, we're fucking done. That might get taken off YouTube.
And Rumble's the only people that'll have us now, but we have enough problems getting signed on there.
And that's ultimately what happened. And it came down to him not reading the documentation that they passed out to the students. And I think that's imperative on a teacher, is anything that they're going to put in front of their kids, they should be perusing at the very least beforehand. And we had an agreement there. So,
yeah, I think a lot of days I just wish to pull my children out. I have twins. They're in grade 9, and I just I look at a lot of things within the school system, and it irritates the crap out of me, right? Yeah. And I just saw John just made a comment here. Their job is to teach the subject, right? Yep. Well, in order to do that, you have to be educated on the subject, and I think the schools is something that's a big deal. We're going to have to unpack at one point, because I remember them bringing in little cups with fluoride in them and us doing mouthwashes with that. A lot of people have issues with that stuff. So the schools, that'll be a total another day to unpack that as well, too.
Well, and it just comes down to manipulation. And ultimately, you'll have a lot of people out there, well, you're manipulating your kids because you're the parent, you're teaching them Christian values and yada, yada. I have no problem with that. Obviously, some people do. So those people and I are probably not going to get along. However, moving along onto, like, in regards to, like, the LGB thing, I have some very, very close friends that are conservatives as well, and they're gay or lesbian or bi.
I love the gay conservatives. Sorry, I'm a big fan. Anyways, go ahead.
It's not even that. It's they've been completely ostracized by the gay community, which they're actually okay with, because what they're finding is just that they're as batshit crazy as what they thought, and it's, unfortunately, they're being attacked. They're told that they're not gay. They're not really gay.
They're not gay enough. You don't meet the gay cut. Sorry, you're out.
They're not gay.
You're a homophobic gay person.
Actually,
right? What?
No, actually,
no, it's not.
Like Jack Dan, he's been called a homophobic gay a lot of the time, or
okay,
and a variety of other things. Now, at the end of the day, I'm passionate about protecting my kids with that, for my own reasons, and that's one of the reasons that topic is a big one to me. So when another conservative argues back with me, then I tend to get my back up a little bit about it too, because I feel that they're just dismissive of it or don't think it's that important. And at the end of the day, that's where I have to kind of sit back and take a breath, because to them, it's maybe not the most important thing. To them, the economic downfall of Canada is a much more important thing.
Oh. So a comment just came in here. It says, "I think teachers are a product of indoctrination that we fight against." You know what?
I think some of them are. I don't think all. That's a real blanket statement, because there's some old school teachers that are they're actually still and they're awesome teachers.
And just like we're doing on the podcast here, there are teachers that are out that are fighting the good fight. I know several teachers that have been recently suspended, for instance, that have actually been off because they're too right wing. You know what I mean? They're too right wing. They're teaching the religion in a Catholic school. How dare they? Right? It's craziness.
Yeah. And they'll get their backs up when you start nailing into teachers and doing the blanket statements like that, because that's very important to them, and they think that being in their own fight is going to help them out quite a bit. So,
and back to the LGBTQ community. Actually, it was just a quick thing. So actually, I put something out on Twitter recently. I'm trying to get myself unbanned from Disclosed TV. There was someone that on Telegram had started this absolute all gays should die and blah blah blah, death to gays and all this sort of thing. And I came on. I said, hey, maybe don't be such an asshole. Maybe you might not like rainbow crosswalks, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of gays that are actually fighting with us, and that just want to be free Canadians and don't want to be left alone, the same as many of us. And I was banned off Disclosed TV. So I've actually been, anyone that's got an insight for that or any pull on Telegram, I'd like to get back off there and plead my case. Disclosed TV censoring, right?
Yeah,
crazy.
And I'd even put up a post the other day where you were saying how much you love gay conservatives. Well, there was a premier that actually brought in some of those gay conservatives because she's putting out legislation in September.
Very interesting.
And they've been recently threatened with a whole pile of different. Some of them have been threatened with a variety of different things. One of them had their actual dog threatened. That somebody was going to kill their dog. And some of them are scared. They've had their families contacted and attacked and everything, yada, yada, yada. And when they reached out to the politician or the politician's team that had summoned them forward to join a round table to ask for a little bit of help, they were basically ignored and kind of thrown to the side. And this is like my whole thing with politicians and not really trusting any of them, whether they're conservative or PPC or all that kind of stuff.
It doesn't matter. You don't get to the top, unless they let you.
But apparently there was like some good came out of it. I'm not at liberty to discuss all the good of it, but I was glad to be able to call somebody out. So, and that's something I think we have to constantly stay on top of in regards to politics, is call them out. Even if they are your guy, if they are 100%
especially
your
if they're your guy, make sure that they're towing your line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if they've made a promise or something like that, or they're something that you expect them to do, call them out on it. And if they're not willing to stand strong at the top of that hill, then I don't know. For me, that's not my guy. Like I said earlier, your word is your bond, and if you break it to me, we're done.
There's a great comment over on Rumble, on the Vets for Freedom Rumble, Veterans Television. Just, I'm gay. The vast majority of us aren't in favor of this indoctrination. That's my battle. You know what I mean? I don't care what anyone does in the bedroom. I could care less, right? I mean, so long as it doesn't involve children, you have at her, right? It's people that just are getting painted with the same brush, and I find that that's unacceptable.
Tony Lima asks, so what are you dorks going to do about it? Well, right now we're having a discussion, so him and I, and just kind of putting our thoughts out there as well.
Yep.
What are you going to do about it, Tony?
Yeah, we're making a point to address some of the issues live, and we're silent no more. We're speaking out. So this is what we're doing about it. We're trying to find some common ground.
Ultimately, the whole reason for this podcast was, or today's, is, again, think for yourself. As long as it's just like me, and that's the big problem right now. Is this is where we're seeing that divide coming down. One of the biggest ones, and I think religion was one of the next ones, or wars. One of the biggest ones that I found was this was a personal one. So back in most of the veterans that you'll meet, I feel don't ever want to see war again, or they really prefer not to.
Yep.
If they saw it in the first place, or if they've been involved in any kind of type of conflict. Most of us joined because we wanted to help people. Now, whether they're right or whether they're left, that's typically the reason for joining. Now, we can argue till we're blue in the face on where we're at right now, where we stand politically and all that kind of stuff. But that was the reason for joining. And none of us really want to see any kind of war happening, especially like right here. So when we advocate for peace or peace talks, that's ultimately kind of where we're headed towards. Now, when we've been making jokes around, I think for the last 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years now, with the Ukrainian conflict.
Yeah.
But when in October, when the Palestinian Israeli thing happened,
That really moved a lot of people a lot quicker, right?
I found that was when we saw like this massive split. And I had put out something on Twitter, or X. I know it's hard.
I
to say
hate
X.
calling it X. It sounds so stupid.
But I put out something that was just basically more of advocating for taking a breath. We'd just gone through 2 years of watching the Ukrainian-Russian thing, and you saw a lot of people calling out one side or the other. So, and a lot of us were just recognizing that regardless of the war that's going on over there, a lot of what we're being shown wasn't necessarily what was really happening. And we've seen a lot of that going on over the course of the 2 years. Well, suddenly it came in like 100-fold on the Palestinian-Israeli thing. And whether it was because of kidnapped people or dead babies, or whether it was because of carpet bombing.
Well, it does tie religion in too, a lot more than we saw, between Russia and Ukraine, right? So we kind of got hit in a couple things there.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to lose followers or anything like that when I'm saying this. But what I had recommended kind of when a day or two after it had first happened was stepping back. We're not in front of the cameras. We're not there, and taking a breath and trying to analyze the situation. The amount of people that were coming into my DMs and basically they were calling me a coward. They were telling me to shut the F up. They were basically the list goes on. Of people that I've known and I've been friends with. Some of them I've actually met in person. So it's not just on Twitter or just on X, and it was nuts. Like the divide just went right down the middle, and even now, like you're seeing it more and more and more, especially with like the protests that are going on or the counter protests that are going on, and this is where I advocate so highly for us to sit and talk, and just you know what, we don't have to agree. But we can sit and talk instead of like screaming and frothing at the mouth. Yeah, people
really seem to want to inject their narratives or their beliefs into what everyone else should believe on that particular topic, don't they? Right?
Yeah.
So how do you think what's the best way to combat that, Aaron?
Talking. Like I know some people say the time for talk is over, and
I hear that a lot.
To combat it over there, I have no idea. It's not my...
within the Patriot movement specifically, I guess.
Within the Patriot movement, the thing is like there's some people within the Patriot movement that are Jewish. There's some people that are from Palestine, or they're Palestinian. There's some people that are neither, but they feel really strongly one way or the other. If there's room for talking, then I suggest speaking about it. Or at least trying to do it in person as opposed to just throwing vitriol online. Because the thing is, I think it's very hard for anyone to put themselves in another person's shoes. Whether that comes down to an anti-Semitic thing, or whether that comes down to a Islamophobia, whatever words are put back and forth. People just aren't talking anymore. They're just kind of screaming because they've chosen a side. And they're just, come hell or high water, they're right down onto it, and there's no... We've got to get back to conversing again as opposed to screaming at each other.
Well,
that's me.
How about the theory that it's not our country, it doesn't matter? How about that? Because you hear that a lot. That some people seem to duck and cover, and they're like, okay, you know what? Let's just choose not to talk about that. That could be a tactic. You know what I mean? If you're setting healthy boundaries around what you're talking about, people getting too upset. But you know,
from my standpoint, like as a Canadian, from a financial perspective, I don't think we should be donating funds to any other country right now. One way or another, it puts Canada right in the middle. Like we're not taking it's not about taking a vocal stance. It's about a financial stance, and you're either funding war or you're not funding war. And we are in too much of an economic downfall right now to be funding other people's wars.
Yeah, and truthfully, I think some of the actual purposes and the reasons for the wars and the conflicts, I struggle a lot. You know, even with my own service about our involvement in different conflicts, that now I have all sorts of questions around whether or not we were there for the reasons we were told we were there for. So when I look at, say, Ukraine, Russia, I look at Israel, Palestine, I take a big step back because I say I'm not boots on the ground.
What about Yemen right now? We haven't been talking about that.
Yeah, exactly, right? And there's lots of different areas that have had conflict and problems, and we're starting to see different things in Haiti and blah blah blah, right?
Well, we abandoned Afghanistan.
Well, yeah. So that's
Sorry, I don't want to go.
No, that's okay. That's Aaron knows that's a big topic for me, the old sandbox. So I look at that, and I look at the way in which the things were, the way things were left, and the imminent departure, and I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
So I struggle with that a lot. So for me,
and then there's looking at the bigger picture of why these wars are actually happening as well, right? So these are rabbit holes upon rabbit holes that we can go down, and all that kind of stuff. But actually, I think the thing is like getting so angry and so upset, especially at each other, people that we've been in the trenches, for lack of a better term, for the last 3-4 years with or alongside, and we've been fighting alongside, and then suddenly a religious one came in, and there's a divide, and we've chosen to, rather than try and speak across the divide, throw an axe right down the middle and just go, nope, okay, so now we're getting patriots over here, patriots over there, but we're losing focus on our own country.
And so a comment just came in, the little house north of 60, Ukraine is a money laundering opportunity, not a war. Okay,
I agree.
We can see. I can definitely see some merit to the money laundering. I mean, there's no accountability from that. Where it's going, billions of dollars are going overseas. What's happening? Boots on the ground. Someone last night was just attacking me all over Twitter. I don't block people, but I muted somebody because it was just getting crazy. They're like, "Oh, you have no idea what's going on and this and that." And I said, "No, you're absolutely right. I don't. Boots on the ground. I don't know for sure." Heck, I've been in theater and I didn't know what was going on except for what I was told. Yeah. So I think there's certain things that are worth arguing in our home front, and there's certain things that are happening abroad that it's just too vast for us to get into. So I think it's okay to set healthy boundaries and just say, within your group of patriots or your group of your community, just saying, listen, that's something that I'm not going to comment on right now.
And that's kind of the
you
thing.
You can find some
sometimes
peace.
It's like sometimes we just have to accept that we're not going to see eye to eye on certain issues, and we've got to take a back seat to it. Fight that fight another time, as opposed to just abandoning a friend because they have a different opinion. Next topic.
Yeah, I was going to say we're kind of
we're
moving time here, but we appreciate everyone's comments and guys.
Dude, we got 358 people watching us on a couple of the platforms that I'm seeing right now.
So and we really. Aaron talked about before, a prominent politician just got a hold of one of his tweets, and really did an about face and on stuff. And so, without getting into any specifics on that, we're actually starting to get a bit of a following, and our voice. Planting Seeds voice is getting out there, and that is the voice of the people that are watching this right now. That is the voice of people that we serve with, friends in our community, and friends on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Rumble, all these sort of things. We're starting to do that. So please, we really want everyone to see this podcast, Planting Seeds, as a voice for everyone, and it's been pretty cool how we're now starting to be able to make some sort of impact out there. So together we're stronger. That's what we put all the time, and we're starting to see that happening.
Well, what's really cool with just kind of like I think one of the things I remember right back in like kind of the beginning of the movement, the freedom movement, and a lot of this is before the truckers convoy. This was just when it was just small little troops of people and all that kind of stuff, and it was like, how can you really affect things? And ultimately, as much as we all claim to hate social media and could do without it, it's actually been a boon to us as well, in terms of getting our voices out there, finding other people, and hopefully making some kind of difference in the community. I know for a fact, outside of just this kind of thing, you and I, like with some of the charitable organizations that we've gotten a chance to work with, like Vets for Freedom, like the
Veterans to Hunters,
Veterans to Hunters, and some of the others, we've been able to help them out too, and we've been able to make some changes, even in our own little ways. Now, that doesn't have to be like this big, massive political thing, but ultimately, we're not as far removed from some of the bigger players as what we might think. So
yeah, absolutely, good point.
So what was next on there?
Okay. So old buildings, old civilizations,
oh my God.
pyramids, castles, mud floods. You know what? Maybe do we leave that one for another day? Because
we could probably go with that for another one. But the flat Earth versus round Earth, because I know this is one where you get your I've seen you get your back up a bit. I'll let you speak and then I'll smash you here. Go ahead. I'm waiting for it. Let's see if he's educated himself. I'm getting knocked out.
Let's see how research happens. He just opened a can of worms.
No, because I'm not going to actually. I don't want to argue with you about it or anything like that. I don't think this is the time to do it right now. But I think what was interesting is as soon as people bring up the term flat Earth or whatnot, any of the round Earthers or globe Earth or generally most of the public, what they don't realize is that you'd stated it earlier as well, is flat Earth was basically taught up until like 1920. The whole world believed in flat Earth really up until 1920.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Point it kind of changed, and that's where the round Earth thing kind of came in. But it's not even the flat Earth versus round Earth. We've been taught to make fun of it, so people automatically dismiss it with a laugh. And I know, like, I haven't done that with you. I've kept an open ear, open mind, and all that kind of thing. More than happy to, and I know this comes down to
spider bites.
This comes down to some of the religious stuff as well. Like in the Bible, it talks about the firmament, which is something that plays in with the flat Earth thing and all that kind of stuff. I think the thing is, and this was actually the big point of this podcast in particular, is not just the anger and the vitriol that splits us apart, but it's also the dismissiveness of certain things and keeping an open mind. There's a
commonality. We can find compromise here.
Right?
Go ahead. Yep.
So it's dismissing. It's me just flat out going, you're full of crap. Or, oh, so you're one of those guys. Kind of thing. Because that I'm automatically putting you... I'm doing what the left has a habit of doing. I'm throwing you into a box that to make it okay in my own, so to make myself feel superior. Which doesn't necessarily play into to reality. I think one of the cool things that we can do is, even if I choose not to go down your path with no matter how much proof you want to provide me, vaxxers,
it doesn't matter.
we can at least have a conversation, and I can open my mind to listening to your point of view as well, and I can open my mind to your point of view, at which point then I can start to actually look at and appreciate some of the proof that you can put in front of me as well. Which, again, I'm open to. But I think the dismissiveness of all of this stuff that goes right down the pathway, we saw the dismissiveness with the vax versus
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
we saw that and we got so pissed off by
trust the science.
Why would we do that to somebody else that's on our side that has a different opinion?
Yeah, no, for sure. And this isn't. Aaron's displaying how basically what this episode is about. Finding compromise and looking at stuff and saying, listen, at the end of the day, it's the dismissiveness. That's what drives me nuts. You don't have to believe the same thing as me, whether it's, any of these topics we're discussing today. However, that whole notion of that I'm right because I said so, that's the title. right? That's the title of this episode. It's like, you believe what you want, so long as it's the same as me. And at the end of the day, I find that it's that dismissiveness. And certain people find certain things triggering. Certain people find certain things really interesting, so they'll spend a lot of time. I happen to spend a lot of time on flat Earth. And for me, I think that it's the... it doesn't matter to me if it's flat or round. I could care less. I think a lot of things are hidden within that concept, and a lot of deception happens within that. And a lot of people are still saying that they research stuff, but don't bother actually doing it. I'm sorry. Watching our podcast or even some others, it might point you in the right direction, but it does not make you a subject matter expert on any of these topics. You have to look for yourself. You have to dig. Watching a video does not make you an expert.
You know what though? Like little house north of 60 just said something like that was great, because there's a lot of people that want to think that they've got critical thinking skills. So I'm just throwing that back up into the onto the chat, onto the screen so you can see it. And we've talked about critical thinking skills, not us necessarily, but I'm saying like the right and the left, and everyone wants to think that they have critical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills actually comes down to analyzing all of the information that's
totality,
coming in, as opposed to ignoring any of it. You can start dismissing it as time goes on, as you're able to build up proof, but even by doing that, you're building your own bias around that, which personally, like, that's going to throw you into a box. It's going to throw your friends into a box, or your fellow patriots into a box. And if it makes you feel better temporarily, ultimately what you're doing is you're hitting yourself and the community around you, including your friends and patriots that want to stick by you. So,
absolutely.
Next.
Okay, so
We're almost an hour here. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're okay. Crypto, gold, fiat currency. I wish I could do show of hands and everyone could actually put this up on the feeds where I could actually see you. How many people are sick of actually getting different stuff where people are telling you to buy gold or invest in crypto or Bitcoin or this or that? Like, I mean, it's spammed out there. Everyone is like, oh, here, you need to do this. I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer that none of us is getting richer in the term. In fact, I think society is still destined to collapse. I don't think it totally matters. I guess my currency would be, the people around me. My currency would be my community, people that have skills around. Like Aaron, he's got bow fighting skills. He's got computer hacking skills. Okay, he's been asked to join a couple of different gangs. It's really cool. But so to me, this stuff is more relevant. And I think certain people are still trying to talk about how to look at hacking the system for the future so they end up rich. Well, that's great. The elites tried that too. Celebrities try that constantly. Our politicians try that. That's not of interest to me, but it is definitely something that's out there.
I think. I could totally be wrong. I'm just a guy, but I think one of the biggest things for me is a survival.
Sorry, just a guy. Like, what is a guy? Do you identify as a guy, or like you just like what's a woman?
F off.
Okay, sorry.
All right.
I just got told live. Okay, go ahead.
When it comes down to, like, we talk about the investing, we talk about building stuff, we talk about this and that and the other thing. Ultimately, what it comes down to, I want a better life for my kids than what I had. I mean, I'm already there, but I want them to have an even better life. Survival is something that's on all of our minds, whether that's surviving the different things that are thrown in front of us, or whether that's just surviving on a lower base level. Everyone wants to have an answer, and as soon as they think they found it, they're going to try and throw it in your face. We're kind of doing the same thing here, but not necessarily. What we're advocating for is making up your own mind, and hopefully talking to other people as well to figure that out, but not forcing anyone to think like you, because it's only your way or the highway. You're not into the crypto thing. I'm invested into it a little bit. Like, I have some investments.
What happens when the internet goes down?
You've got it on a hard. So
you got it on what? sorry.
You've got
sounded like you said you had it on a hard.
You've got it on a hard wallet. So okay. I'm not even going to go into explaining all that.
What's it called? A what wallet?
Hard wallet.
Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Is your bag sleeping?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Wake it up. I don't hate, just to be
No,
clear,
no,
I
it's
don't
not
hate
that.
crypto. I just don't see it. It's like gold. I lived in Africa for years.
Yeah.
I mean, you dig, you get stones out of the ground like we get worms and rocks here, right?
No, and
I just don't.
we have like we've got silver and gold,
Supply and
all that kind of
demand.
stuff as well. At the end of the day, like value is something that is applied to it, right? So we can sit there and we can talk about finances and what's going to happen, and how to prepare for it. But every wealthy person that I've ever met, their biggest investment has always been in real estate or land
Or crime.
or crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Money laundering.
Yeah, there's that. Well, I'm not really friends with those people.
Oh, okay, yeah. His friends that are really wealthy. Okay, 10-4. Marty should get a bigger water bottle. Yes. So, update. Hold on, wait, updates.
I thought I had a big one.
Right, yeah, he thought, mine's bigger.
Yours is
Right?
bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I have the biggest portion.
I get the biggest push. Okay. So, anyways, weight loss challenge, where are you at right now?
20 pounds.
You're 20 pounds, okay? I'm sitting at just under 13. Still eating fairly normally, just basically not eating junk food and stuff.
Yep.
So I'm a firm believer that I'm going to beat him out in the long run. It's the tortoise and the hare, but we'll see. He's doing well and he's feeling great.
I just need to lose another 20 and then I'm done.
What?
So.
No, I'm gonna keep going until I disappear. So just to win, because I'm that fucking competitive.
All right.
So okay. Anyways, on a summary here, and then if we've got any wrap up notes and stuff. Number one, we appreciate everyone tuning in, all these things we'll unpack in different episodes. Please feel free to DM us directly if you have certain stuff that we want to talk about. We want this to be a people's podcast. Planting seeds is just that. We don't presume to know the answers. The podcast I enjoy watching are where the people say, hey, we don't have all the answers. We're just trying to give you some ideas, and that's what this show's about. It's okay to disagree. I think it's people need to discern for themselves. At this point, are we changing people's opinions? Not by trying to bully them. That didn't work so great with the
But
vax,
I do want to dive into, not today, but I definitely want to dive into like the old earth and all that kind of stuff. And,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So old stuff.
I find that fascinating.
I am absolutely, the number one thing I like to look at right now is architecture. I drive around, I look at buildings, and I try to figure out, it says, okay, a building now, you spend, near $1 billion, it's falling apart in 10 years. You look at an old world structure from the 1200s, the castles in Germany from the 1500s, the things are still serene. It's amazing. There's, I think we're being lied to about a bunch of different stuff, and, hopefully in future episodes, we're going to unpack some of that stuff.
Are we closing up now? Is that?
Yeah, we're closing up now.
is it done?
We're at an hour. Yeah, forgetting
Alright, cool.
people are sick of listening.
Yeah.
So
You know what? They're not. We actually have more viewers now than we did earlier.
excellent.
Well, if we're wrapping it up, I think the big point was, what did I said earlier to you? It was you and me, just having our discussion and not necessarily seeing eye to eye. We were talking. That was this morning when I was talking to you when I was in the truck.
I wasn't listening. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No. So what I was saying was, like, him and I we've been friends for like the longest time. We've known each other since high school. We joined the military together. We kind of not parted ways purposefully, but we grew apart for a while.
Thank you. We got followers. Keep going. Okay. I'm not in any rush.
We can do this.
We won't. We're doing it all night. We got Lionel Richie in the background. Yeah. Okay. Right on.
No, let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Okay,
Okay. Go.
Never again.
Again, it sounded like it happened before. Go ahead. Run past the barriers. Run past the objective. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, what I was saying with that when I was in the truck was just, regardless of how long we've been friends, one thing we've always managed to do is, even when we've pissed each other off, had an argument or anything like that, we've managed to, once we've like taken a breath, calm down, and come back to it a day or two later. Basically, not necessarily even, I'm not trying to make you see my way of thinking or anything like that, but I'm just trying to make you understand that I think differently on something, and so maybe we won't see eye to eye on that, so let's move past it and move on. The other aspect is me getting upset at you for not having the same level of passion on a particular subject.
Oh yeah. No, this is good. Yeah.
So I mentioned my son earlier, and kind of some of the stuff that I'm going through with him right now. I am very much the proud papa. He's an unbelievably intelligent kid, but he's also somewhat reserved, I guess, in terms of his friendships and all that kind of stuff. Socially, he's not. He's a socially awkward kid. I'll just flat out say that. So these kind of kids tend to be the ones that will fall prey a little bit more.
Targeted. I would use the word targeted.
To groomers. Or anyone that would have that, be it, and sometimes it's some of the people that we call groomers. They're not doing it purposefully. They're just kind of going along with whatever they're taught. They're lazy, I guess is what I would say. So at the beginning of the school year,
or poorly informed, yeah,
or they're poorly informed as well. And so at the beginning of the school year, I had that whole thing with this teacher. So for me, it's front of mind all the time. Just making sure that he's not falling in that trap of that, and that's coming through educating him, myself, but also keeping him away from situations where he may have to, where it's going to make him feel uncomfortable. And if you've been following my journey on Twitter with him right now, the fight that I'm fighting against the school system. That has a lot to do with it. So I had written a letter at the beginning of the year. I've spoken to the teacher multiple times about this stuff, and this is where my passion in this is trying to make sure your kids are older. And while you and I fall in line with our belief in the whole trans agenda, and not belief, but the way we think about the trans agenda, the SOGI 123 in schools, the sexualization of children, how wrong that is. Well, we agree on that. For me, it's something that I'm very much more, if you're not as tuned in as me, I tend to get a little bit like, why aren't you listening to me? And that's not fair of me. So I recognize that. At the same point, you're super passionate about some of the, like, you send me a lot of videos.
Yeah, old world stuff. Yeah,
and yeah. I find them highly interesting, and I like to watch them. I don't have as much time on my hands as what you do, because I'm not retired. So I'm working, I'm doing some of the other stuff, so I don't get a chance to watch them. So my passion with that is not as big as yours.
Right.
But you're not getting mad at me for not being as passionate. I think the thing is like when it comes down to some of these controversies that we're talking about, that's how we have to. This is one of the best ways that we can figure out how to get along, is just by realizing that somebody else's passion is not as much as strong as what yours is on a particular subject. That's fine. So find something where you guys are both have a passion towards it. But if not, then just try and figure out what their passion is too, and maybe you guys can work something out to help get along.
That's a great point, Aaron. And actually, looking at this whole list, that could be any of those things.
Yeah.
So someone could be very passionate about their politics or race issues or LGBTQ versus straight, or flat Earth, round Earth, religion, old world stuff, wars overseas, vax, crypto, gold. Any of those things could actually be part of that. And certain people are more passionate. Some people are feel like, you know, that's their jam, so therefore they're going to be more into it. And yeah, absolutely, if that's not your jam, then you set healthy boundaries around that, and you find ways to be able to have those conversations. And truthfully, I mean, even as we sit here, and I hope it happens in one of our podcasts where Aaron and I categorically disagree, because then you'll get a chance to see how we're dealing with it, and that's how we plant seeds. Right.
Then we start wrestling.
Then we start wrestling. Oh, geez. Well, I'm not going to lose it. That's why it's great. Actually, he's losing weight quicker, so then I'll be able to throw him around like a rag doll and beat him, rip the arms off, and beat him with the gooey ends. Right. So there you go. There you go, Twiggy. Right. I'm like, right. Just like the old days. Throwing. Right. Oh, geez. No midgets have been hurting during any of our podcasts at this point. So
we've only had two.
This is number 3. It's almost in the book. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I love the comments. We really appreciate the support again. And we're just going to keep basically bashing along. We know not every podcast we do is going to be a hit. There's going to be some where we have lots of interest, some that are not there. We're just going to keep plugging along. We are originally had no interest in doing this. People kept coming to us with the idea, and
Well, let's actually where it started was when we were doing those walks. So I don't know.
the old walk and talks.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, I don't even know if you guys saw these because we were trying.
This is early days. Yep,
We were
a couple years ago.
trying to have it. It was last year.
Yeah?
It was literally a year ago. It was
it?
spring walking down my the unassumed road up by my house.
Mm-hmm.
And we were seeing so much fear and hate and everything else going on. We just wanted to start throwing out some words of hope or flipping viewpoints on certain subjects so that we could plant those seeds of hope. And that's kind of, people mentioned the podcast, so that's kind of where that grew into. Any more comments that we have to?
No, it's just in line with basically where we're going. So I think we're
All right.
just about able to wrap up. Please subscribe, share. That's a way that you can actually make this your own.
Yeah.
If we see you sharing, also reach out Wabbit on X or Spire868 on X as well too. Great ways, and drop us stuff. Say, hey, you know what? I've got this thing. Yep.
I'll type all three into the chat.
Yeah,
here.
we really want to make sure that we're catering to everybody, and that we are trying to become a voice for everyone as much as possible. We are clearly veterans, so we've had a lot of support from Veterans for Freedom. That being said, this is conversation coming from people with experience in service, but that's not going to be our everything we talk about. It's not going to be coming from that. It's going to be coming as fathers. It's going to be coming from as Christians, and that's one thing that I think seems to be something that we agree upon while we're doing the podcast.
So I just threw our handles up there. It's Wabbit Warrior, Spire8868, and Planting Seeds Podcast 24 on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. I think is that it? Are we tying it off?
Oh, yeah, just last thing too, unfortunately, we had to do our podcast live today because we weren't able to do it yesterday, and some of our biggest supporters from the broadcast are actually right now, currently, while we're filming this, maybe they're done already, I'm not sure. They're recording their next episode, which I believe is 6 or 7. They're pumping them out. If you've not tuned in yet and you want some great information from a more feminine side of things, then that's definitely where you should be looking. I understand none of these women have penises.
They're pretty adamant about telling everyone.
They tell everyone, so I think it's fair to put that out there. So if you want to watch 3 women or listen to 3 women chat without penises, then that's one to check into. I don't know. Am I selling it right? I don't know. So kidding is.
I can't wait to talk to Sue.
Yeah, I'm still gonna get punched right in the junk. Okay. Anyways, guys, lots of love. Please check out the broadcast. Really appreciate all the work that they're doing and the support that they give to us. If it wasn't for them, I'm not sure that this podcast would happen.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Have a good
a lot.
night, and I guess we'll talk soon.
Yep.
Cheers.
Bye bye.